Tom Timms, with his father, arrived when Tom was 15 years old, and they cleared their selection on the eastern Dorrigo to have a dairy farm and to grow crops. In 1916, Tom met Doris Lillingston, and they were married the following year. The Timmsvale Timber Company was formed with Beals, the piano manufacturing company in Sydney. Timmsvale had its own bakery, hall, post office, butcher shop, general store, bush nurse and 2 schoolrooms, as well as a bus company. The sawmill was the most modern ever built in Australia in its time. It used the steam from steam engines for kiln drying the timber. Up to 200 people were employed directly and indirectly with the mill. In 1930s, the Depression in Australia, the Beals family sold their share to Tom Timms. Let's go back to Tom and Doris's early days, back to the early 1920s, not long after they were married. Timmsvale had a long stretch of water in the Little Nimboida. In those early days, the farmers found they could sell their trees on the property. Bullock teams were used to get the logs from the eastern Dorrigo down to the jetty at Coffs Harbour. Tom was a good businessman, and he had 4 bullock teams. He went to Dorrigo in 1921 with his wife Doris and his 2 children, Dudley and Jess. They were going there for the opening of the Dorrigo power station, which was run with a water turbine. Tom was very impressed by what he saw, and he kept thinking about a water turbine to power a sawmill. He believed he had what was needed, a river and a fall in height from the dam to the mill. Although Tom hadn't spent very much time at school, he began to write to the same firm in England that had supplied the Dorrigo hydroelectric water turbine. The English firm told Tom what would be required to drive the turbine which would power the sawmill. On the 28th of September 1923, he heard from the English company.
Timms at Timmsvale wants someone to work in the mill, so I hopped on the horse and off down
to the mill?
On straight away.
Now, what sort of mill was that?
That was Watermill, the water power that was run by.
Fairly unique mill in the sense that it was the only one in Australia as a watermill. Right?
That's a fact, yes.
Yeah. How did the watermill work, Dick?
Well, they have to have a dam in the river or, some stream.
Yeah.
And then the water was dammed up in a little nemboider. Then they cut a race round the side of the hill.
A race is a trench, is it? To let the water...
Big trench where the water can come out of the dam and run down into a penstock, as they call it. And then from the penstock, that drops down, at a sharp angle, takes the water into the turbine.
Yeah, and then the turbine drove the saws.
Yes.
Was there enough power in it? Yeah.
All the power in the world.
Yeah, right.
Power to spare, as a matter of fact.
That's right. What about water shortage? Was there any? Did you ever have any problems with?
Well, a couple of times there while I was there was, dry weather and that, and of course there was more water going out then than what was coming into the stream. They used to have to close down for not long, about an hour perhaps or more, to pressure build up, and away they went again.
Right. Where did the turbine come from?
I think that was imported from England.
All right. What about sticks and eels and things like that going down through?
Oh, if a eel went down, matter of fact, while I was there, I had a bit of a problem a couple of times by eels.
Yeah.
They'd go down, of course. That'd gum things up. Had to take the turbine, to pieces to get the eel out.
This is back in 1925, and this little watermill at the back of Timmsvale. How many men worked there?
Well, actually, there was the log yardman, benchman, friction man, out, dockerman.
Yeah, what were some of their names?
Oh, my gosh. That's all right, yes. There was Dan Davison, I remember, was the sawyer. Dick Parker was tailor out. Yours truly was driving the friction. Jack Stride was saw sharpener. Arthur Phillips, log yardman. Bill Heron, timber stacker. He was usually called Billy Beatles.
Were they a happy crew there at that mill?
Oh, real tip-top.
Yeah.
Yeah, great lot of chaps.
Yeah.
Yes.
After the timber was sawn, what happened to it then?
Well, that was put out in the yard. A lot of it was stacked up. And then when it was ready to go away, of course, they used to bring the bullock wagon down into the yard and have a man up on the top stacking the timber, one man tallying and another chap handing it to the fellow on the wagon.
And where'd the wagon take it then?
Into Yulong. Yeah.
The line was through then?
That's right, yes.
And what was the timber like? Was it
mainly it was all softwood. A lot of sassafras, more coachwood than anything. Beautiful timber, beautiful big logs.
What did they use that timber for mainly?
A lot of it was cut on the quarter That used to go to the railway workshops in the city. And a lot of it went to Victoria, to the International Harvester Company.
Any bad accidents?
No.
There was a board door across here that you lifted out to let the water through. One afternoon, it always had to be shut off every afternoon to let the water build up in the dam as high as possible overnight. Until the next morning the boards were pulled out and let the water away again. But this first part of here must have given them a fair bit of trouble. It was boarded up along there as I remember it. And it didn't, you know, from just not far ahead, it just ran as a canal. That's an overflow that they put in especially to take the pressure off the reservoir, which is only just there. When they wanted to work on the reservoir, they let the water through there and out of the road. There used to be a wire mesh over that to stop the eels going down through.
Stay there, Stan.
But they did get down there now and again, and they'd tangle up in the water wheel.
Go back. Go back.
They'd get tangled up in the turbine, and they'd have to pull the cover off it, and there's a number of bolts to undo. But it used to be a pretty regular performance if that gauze broke away at all. The other side now, which is covered in timber and been cut twice, was clear bare ground when this mill was working. About 50 acres there. And this is some of the relics of the mill. The higher post here where the vertical frame was bolted to and used to work here. Those posts on your left is where the tram line used to come in from the log yard and bring the logs in to go through the frame. The vertical frame. And on the basis here is one of the bearing situations. There's another one over the other side where from the turbine there was a belt drive through to a shaft here which used to drive the frame. And the water coming through from there worked through those flippers and exhausted down through underneath.
No, you didn't.
Right out the side. But that brass flippers used to keep the show going till the eels got in. See, there was a shaft through there, and as the thing started to gather speed, those governors had cut the flippers back.
Oh, I see, change the angle.
Yeah.
So you can alter your pitch
Yeah.
to whatever you want. Couldn't run a too steep a pitch, would be too savage, would it?
That was the shot. The water used to exhaust out through there, down that canal to the creek. The mill elevator from the mill went out there and supposedly was to go the other side of where the water was flowing out. Finally, the rest of the timber went out this way. There was a tram line running out here, up so high, out there about, well, probably nearly 100 yards. And the timber was taken out on the tram line and stacked into and stripped out beside the line.
Dudley Timms, another son, left Timmsvale and built a caravan park at Repton. It is now called Repton Gardens. While he lived in Timmsvale, he also had a bus company in Timmsvale with 3 buses. After selling the caravan park, he decided to build a replica model of the Watermill. After a few friends had seen what he had done, he was talked into showing it at the 73rd Coff Show. From there he was invited to many North Coast shows. After Dudley appeared in the government pavilion at the Sydney Royal Easter Show, he travelled around New South Wales and Queensland, as far in Queensland as Townsville and Charters Towers. He showed it at the Windsor Show, Western Sydney. Dudley was really talked out after these shows. There was always plenty of ex-timbermen who wanted to talk about those old sawmill days. Many of them grew up in the timber villages. Showing the miniature sawmill around Queensland and New South Wales, Dudley also met many people who once worked on the Eastern Dorrigo. There were some great memories relived. There are other people who worked in sawmills but not on the Eastern Dorrigo, but they wanted to show their grandchildren and point out the job they had in the sawmills. It was asked if the Dudley Timms miniature mill could possibly be shown at the Coffs Harbour 100th year show. It had been nearly 20 years since this miniature sawmill had been switched on. A number of the posts had crumbled after white ants had infected them, but other posts and parts were in good condition. Although the little model mill would run continuously at previous show appearances, it was decided it was possible to have it ready. People have always enjoyed looking at the miniature sawmill, and they like to show their grandchildren. We knew the effort would be appreciated.
that's a shame. This big goes.